I'm Adam Travis with Pro Server Systems, and today we're going to talk about the 8086K and the Z370 chipset. And then we'll get into delidding, using alternative thermal compounds, and probably some hand lapping. Those may be separate videos and maybe in this video. One of the reasons that I was super excited about the 8086 when I heard rumors it was coming out, it's a commemorative number that goes back to one of the big Intel processors from years back. The big deal about this processor is that it is already binned. If you don't know what the silicon lottery is, you might want to look that up, but there's a percentage difference between what's expected and what you get when they make several processors on a big sheet. Intel went ahead and hand binned them, so they already know that these are the top tier and they are better at being overclocked. I'm pretty sure the difference between an 8700K and 8086 is the 8700, its boost clock is 4.3 gigahertz. The 8086 is already sitting at 5 gigahertz. I wouldn't expect a tremendous overclock at that point. I'm hoping to hit 5.5 with this one. I know with my 7700K, I run it really easy at 4.5. Easy. Doesn't take much voltage. There's some spreadsheets out there that where people hit 5.5 with them. You're not going to hit that with this processor because it has 6 cores, and you got to think about the stability across all 6. But that's enough of that. We'll go ahead and break the seal so that we can't send it back. I prefer the i7s over the i9s money-wise. You're going to get more bang for your buck out of an i7. The i9s are kind of their super, they claim that they're super enthusiast grade, but I really just don't believe all the hype. Any K series you get, it's not going to come with a heatsink because they assume that you're going to have some other cooling apparatus. It's an unlocked processor, so you're planning on overclock. Rockit Cool, that's some cool stuff. This is a delid plate where everything after, I think, Skylake got so thin, the PCB so thin you can't do the vice trick anymore. We usually put them in a vice and then throw a little heat to them, but this particular series processor, Skylake and forward, you're not going to be able to do that. You run a really high risk of breaking your PCB for your processor. So that's the 8086, and maybe we'll get you some close-ups here to show. The big thing about the Rockit Cool IHS is that it has a whole lot more surface area. Again, switch to a close-up here. One of the pet peeves I have, I try to get the most out of everything, and so we're going to hand lap this. You can look up a lot of delid videos, but you can see there's machine marks in that. I'm going to take these machine marks out, and I've got a micrometer, so we'll do measurements and stuff like that also. But you can see that there's a major difference even at that distance in the surface area of the IHS. They do a great job, and for the price you pay, you get a really good product. But like I said, I'm going to hand lap this, and I'm going to try to hand lap the inside of it too. You'll have to have something that's a raised piece to sit inside. But thermal compound, most of you more advanced viewers are already going to know this, so it might be a little bit redundant, but thermal compound really is just used to fill in the microscopic gaps in the metal. So there's a lot of microscopic gaps there. You can see that in the machining marks. We're going to take all those out, as much of them as we can. That should be like a mirror finish. Some people say it's old school, but anything that works, you do it. You're probably only going to shave like 1 to 2 degrees off with that, and I think some people are shaving up to 5 extra degrees off with the IHS, this IHS specifically. The major thing is the thermal compound that's underneath the hood on these is just not, it's not been good for years since they started doing it. They just kind of idiot-proof the processor by putting an IHS on top. Well, now they're using it as part of the rigidity in the processor. So that's why you got to be careful. I'm a pretty big fan of the Asus Formula Maximus motherboards. That's pretty much what I exclusively run. I had a Z170, a 6700K, and then I had a Z270, a 7700K, and then there's a 7700K in the Z270 over there. That's the one I'm running at 4.5 gigahertz. I was doing that on air, that really crappy all aluminum air cooler. The Maximus series now comes with water block in the motherboard, and that's really handy because it'll cool your VRMs. I like it because you don't have to buy another $100 plate to put on here. It comes on it. You can run it without it. It's safe to run these motherboards without water coming through here, but they're really made to be water cooled. And of course, you've seen 100 unboxing videos for these. That's not really what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the performance. Now, I might get you some before and after. We're going to shoot to get some before and after. I can point you to some videos that'll give you more of the details about like incrementally, like what the differences are. But we're probably going to try to do an all-in-one fell swoop to go from this and get some before temperatures at stock speed, running some sort of benchmark on it, and then with the IHS after we've lapped it, we're going to go stock to completely hardcore. This is what you're going to need for wet sanding. You can go to Advanced Auto Parts, you can go to O'Reilly's or any local auto parts store. They're going to have kits for wet sanding. Most of the time they do these for body work and stuff. This small kit here comes with 220, 400, and 800. I think the 220 is too rough. I'm going to start with 400. Then we'll move up to the 800 that's in this pack. Then we'll move up to 1,000, 1,500, and 2,000. We're going to start by doing the top. Before I start, we're going to do a couple measurements with our micrometer here to see where we're at, because I want to change the depth of it. .65 millimeters. Here, what I have is a piece of glass. You want a piece of glass that's thick enough that you're not going to break it while you're pressing on it. The reason that you use glass is because it gives you a perfectly smooth surface here. So, with that smooth surface, we know for sure that we're going to get a flat. We're going to keep this flat. Your IHS on your processor out of the box is not flat, and I can show you that real quick. It's got a bulge in the middle, and you don't really want that because your heat sinks don't have bulges in them. And I think that's one of the reasons that the Rockit Cool does such a good job of knocking a few more degrees off. Not just because you're changing the thermal interface material, but I can press on the corner and it moves a little bit. It's not drastic, but it's enough to feel. And a few thousandths is enough to keep it far enough away that you're not getting full surface contact. When you're handling these, just as a note, try not to touch those. I touch the corners here. You can use tap water, you can use bottled water. I prefer deionized water because I'm real specific about everything. Deionized water, in case you don't know, doesn't have minerals and stuff in it, and that's what you should use to charge your water cooling loops or fill them. Charge, fill, same difference. .220 is just too thick, too tough. You might have to switch back to it. That's not where I'm starting. There's the 800. 400. You want paper though that is for wet sanding, because if you don't get paper that's for wet sanding, you're going to have the grains and stuff going to start coming off. So we're going to put that down. Take our deionized water. Put some on there. Then I'm going to get the oils and stuff off my hand all over this, but I'm going to clean it later with isopropyl alcohol. Because if you do, if you leave your oils and stuff on there, it's going to look like a penny after a few years, and you don't want any corrosion. So we had our first measurement over here too. 3.65. Also need to note this measurement. Always make sure your mic is 0. This shoulder is important because I want to keep track of how much I take off of the bottom. I want it just ever so slightly closer. So that's 1.6. 1.64 is what I had a second ago. There we go. 1.65. We'll go with that.
that was Jadaza.